Can someone please just tell me when Michaela had time to get those Pratt dollars made? So this week we'll be diving into episode 3 of How to Get Away with the Murder 6th season. It'll be a minor review with some predictions of where I think the show will be going, and there will be spoilers, but before we get started, thank you for watching. What did you think about this episode? Comment down below with your thoughts. I'll be doing a video for every episode of How to Get Away with the Murder's final season, so hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. As usual, we'll go character by character and break this episode down. There was a lot going on. Like, I can barely figure out how to organize my thoughts coherently, but here we go! So finally, Bonnie has come out to play, ladies and gentlemen. And she has come hard. It looks like her and Nate have teamed up again, and they have their sights set on Tegan. That's right. My girl, Castillo, Tegan. First, Bonnie shows up at C&G looking for a job, which I thought was genuine until I realized Bonnie's ass was just baiting Tegan. Turns out Tegan knew that Bonnie got fired from the DA's office, but from who? We can only assume that's the FBI agents, seeing they're the ones that fired her. Later in the episode, Bonnie's still using her DA office title, so it's not common knowledge yet. So that further confirms that Tegan is possibly in connection somehow with the FBI. We also see Nate and Bonnie sending secretive texts and stuff. Later on in the episode, Bonnie gets brownie points with Tegan when she helps out with Connor's case. So she ends up getting hired at C&G. Temporarily. Then Bonnie sends Nate this cute little selfie that's basically like, ah man, bitch, I swear, Bonnie can never just be content. She's always gotta be going around doing something sneaky. I just feel like this is putting them further in a line of fire. Whether Tegan is involved or not, which I'll discuss later, C&G is not a safe place to work. Speaking of Bonnie, the show forced that whole Bonnie and Frank relationship thing once again, which I never really saw them as in-game anyway, because I feel like one of them or both of them could potentially die in the end anyway, but I basically just said that to segue into Frank. So Frank, still hell-bent on finding Laurel, gains access to the security footage of her leaving the bank, finds the taxi she got into, and then goes to the same location where she was dropped off at. Okay, this will be quick. One theory, I don't think that was Laurel, and I think it was a trap. I'm pretty sure we're gonna discover that Xavier has no idea where Laurel is, and was basically just trying to lure Frank to him, or that was Laurel, and Laurel and Xavier have just been working together. I just don't know if Xavier would actually hold his sister and nephew captive against their will. Yes, he did arrange to have Nate's father killed, but Laurel is blood. The Castillos seem to at least care for their own, except Laurel. She'll destroy them all. But in all honesty, I do like the slow reveal of the mystery, and it's made each episode more suspenseful as it goes. Speaking of Nate's dad, like 20 seconds ago, and Nate, we're just gonna seamlessly segue into Nate. See what I did there? So as I mentioned before, Bonnie and Nate are playing Holmes and Watson and trying to uncover the truth about Tegan. Nate even confesses his suspicions of Tegan to the FBI. And then the FBI... Okay, there's like so much that happened between this. Alright, let's rewind. Speaking of Nate's dad, like 20 seconds ago, and Nate, we're gonna seamlessly segue into Vivian. What?
Vivian?
Okay, so Vivian's still in town, and while the King crew is working on this week's case, Vivian's trying to convince Gabriel to go home. Hell, everyone's trying to convince Gabriel to go home. He doesn't. But turns out the murder mystery is true. Gabriel poisoned Paul, Vivian's old boyfriend. I think poison was an interesting choice here. I mean, don't we know of someone who recently died from being poisoned? I mean, Gabriel would have access to Emmett's office. We just have to figure out what his motives are. Anyway, to convince Gabriel that Annalise is a monster, Vivian gives him the Sam Keating box. We'll come back to that. So we do get a formal reveal that Vivian is indeed working with the FBI to spy on Annalise. My thoughts here is, how is Telesco tied into all of this? We know Telesco called her at the end of season 5, but if she's working with the FBI and Telesco is taken off the case, and I know Telesco has to come back somehow, who is she working with? Could possibly be Tegan. I mean, they did share a steamy scene in a car last season. Anyway, so Vivian was working with the FBI, and she was doing it in order to get her drug charges removed. But because they won't do anything about Gabriel, she's like, okay, I'm done, find somebody else. And oh boy, do they. They offer the same deal to Nate in order to get more information about Miller's murder. And I'm like, Nate isn't going to spy on Annalise. Yeah, he'll probably accept the deal, but in order to be the hero and lead the FBI in the wrong direction. What I do find interesting about this though is that it confirms that Laurel's not working with the FBI, wherever she is. If she was, why would they need Nate? Why would they need Vivian? If they had Laurel on the inside, then they wouldn't need these people to also be spying on Annalise. The FBI is desperate at this point. But the thing is, whoever they settle on and whoever actually becomes this informant, they are going to die. And their death is gonna cause Connor to, there's so much that happened before that too. Okay, I'm just gonna lump everything else into just one big glob of stuff. So Michaela's on her first solo case, and after a pretty solid start and a bumpy middle, she kind of killed it in court by channeling some emotions connected to Sam's murder. This makes Vivian suspicious, and in my opinion, that was kind of a stretch. In the meantime, Connor's trying to get things resolved with Hector's case, takes the boy illegally across state lines to meet his mother, then ends up getting them both detained. So Connor's freaking out, and Tegan and Bonnie come in for the rescue, and Tegan calls the Undersecretary of Intelligence and Analysis for Homeland Security, aka her wife. Hold on, is this Tegan's IT guy? Just all sorts of suspicious activities coming up with Tegan now. Thought I knew you, girl. Don't even recognize you. I'm sure this is all just to make us more suspicious of the character, but when you have shots like this, starting on the same cup that poisoned Emmett, I'm beginning to think that Tegan is more involved in a much more sinister way. In fact, she's probably the one that told Gabriel to poison Emmett. She's like, you poison people? Yeah, let's poison this dude. Okay. Anyway, remember the Sam Keating box? Apparently it's filled with tapes of sessions with Annalise. Then coincidentally, way too coincidentally, the first tape that Gabriel listens to reveals that Dwight ain't Michaela's dad. Apparently, Annalise just confesses that the lawyer she interned for, i.e. the lawyer that represented Dwight, had an affair with his wife and then got her pregnant, which means Michaela's birth father is the lawyer. So I looked back at the original article from episode 1, and it says the defense attorney was named Solomon Vick, and I'm assuming that's the person that Annalise was interning for. My first thought was this could be Connor's father, and that's how it's connected. I mean, he's a lawyer, but the timeline really doesn't add up, and then we would have seen Walsh somewhere in the article. This really just opens up an entire new element to the story arc, and then it also confirms that Annalise lied once again. She actually does know more about Michaela's birth father than she's letting on, which I guess still does add more fuel to the Michaela kills Annalise fire, I guess. And as if I haven't been talking enough, let's jump into the flash forward. Turns out Connor is being interrogated too, so we know for a fact that Michaela and Connor do not die. Connor is a suspect, which makes me think that the FBI agents may have lied or stretched the truth a little bit about Michaela's fingerprints being on the murder weapon. Like, if it was clear cut, why would they be interrogating Connor then using Michaela as leverage? But check this out, the agents show Connor proof of the dead informant, which causes Connor to go into like a crazed laughing and crying spurt, and then he has a heart attack, which I think is probably like an extreme panic attack as a reaction. Anyway, who would cause this? I don't think Connor would have such a reaction with Tegan, Vivian, or Gabriel. They're not really that close enough, so I'm ruling them out. Same with Bonnie and Frank. I know Connor cares about them, but not enough for him to completely lose it like that. For him to react the way that he did, it would have to be like Oliver, Annalise, or Asher, Laurel. Someone he's known from the very beginning. This is all speculation, but let's be real. Connor's been around a lot of murder. At a certain time, you become desensitized to it. And I don't think he would have such a strong reaction unless it was someone who had a very significant part in his life. My other thought, similar to what I said last week about Michaela in the flash forward, is it could be all an act, and it's a big plan to trick the FBI. Though I'm now seeing how much of a stretch that this may actually be. If you're really thinking about it, this scene made it seem like Connor didn't know that the informant was dead. Why else would he need proof if he was at the scene of the crime? Alright, those are my completely scattered and disorganized thoughts for this episode. I'm sure I missed some details, so let me know if you noticed anything else that I didn't mention in the comments down below. Next video, I'll be doing something a little different. I'm actually going to take my top 3 favorite theories or predictions and feature them in the video. So comment below with your thoughts, predictions, and theories so we can discuss it. Thanks so much for watching, and if you want to see more of my How to Get Away with Murder videos, click one here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, it really helps me out, and then subscribe with a side notification bell. Until next time, shine on, you crazy diamonds.